In this issue of Video Fashion News, designers take us on fantastical journeys around the world. Anna Sui escapes to a tropical paradise for spring 2022.
It's another fairy tale, another dream of Anna's. It's like remembering going on a vacation, remembering the blue water, remembering all those beautiful smells and all those beautiful fabrics, the way the wind blows.
Then, step into the downtown designer's fantasy land as we revisit her unparalleled career.
It's like a kind of a fantasy world, and it transports people. I love being able to play dress up.
Moschino brings us on a fashion voyage from the prairie to the savannah. Teddy Vonranson's New York Fashion Week presentation brings us to the South Seas.
This time I made it a little bit more international, going to French Polynesia and really kind of being inspired by Tahiti and, the paintings of Paul Gauguin.
Plus, hit the slopes with Miuccia Prada's fall-winter collection for Miu Miu. All that and more on Video Fashion News. For spring 2022, Anna Sui dreamed of escaping to a tropical paradise.
It's another fairy tale, another dream of Anna's, which is like going on a wonderful vacation, and it's like remembering going on a vacation, remembering the blue water, remembering all those beautiful smells and all those beautiful fabrics, the way the wind blows, all of that. So we decided that we would do hair that it really is what's happening with the kids today and how they're doing it, but we're polishing it up a little bit. And when you look on the board, you'll see some are half up, some are half down, some are all the way up, but the big deal is having these two bits in the front falling down over their eyes. It's that cool chick kind of thing. And I'm grabbing it low at the nape, and I keep wrapping and wrapping. And then the last one, I leave and I pull out one bubble. Now I'm taking this and I'm fantailing it out. It's going to be like a little fishtail. And the finished look is that we have these two little tendrils that just fall down the face. You can actually see the hats and the bandanas that are going on the head and how the hair and the hat and everything go together. Instead of a ponytail or a braid, we decided to do something a little more done.
The collection had an upbeat spirit, presented in a tropical kaleidoscope of leafy greens, floral pinks, and aquatic blues.
With the skin, very natural, working obviously with everyone's skin tones, keeping the skin really kind of sun-kissed, warm, lovely. We use Sublime Perfection foundation and the concealer, and then on the cheeks, Cherish blush. On the eyes, we used Electric Bloom, using the brightest of colors. And then also we use the beautiful silver from Decadent. So this is on the eyelids, as you can see. Then you can see the Shockwave and the Rose Seduction. Okay, mixed together. We have, Pale Fire Nectar on the lips, just to provide a soft glittery finish, which is really, really beautiful. And then Dark Star Mascara on the lashes. Eyebrows brushed, kept very natural, no product in brows. On some of the girls, we're adding a little bit of Electric Bloom under the eyes. It depends on the eye shape. Or we're using a little bit of Cherish blush under the eye. But it is really it's a really beautiful look. Very kind of floral, exotic. but soft.
A little taste of paradise, courtesy of Anna Sui. Now, step into the Video Fashion Vault to rediscover the designer's unparalleled career. In 1980, Anna Sui, a Parsons graduate, launched her eponymous fashion line based out of her Manhattan apartment. Now, that bedroom business has blossomed into an international empire, with over 65 boutiques in 9 countries, as well as beauty and accessory lines available in 375 sales outlets around the globe. Sui made her name with vintage-inspired dresses that blended pop and rock influences. Her trend-setting collections hit the runway for the first time in 1991. The following year, Sui opened her first boutique in New York's Soho district.
Who doesn't like to dress up in a fantasy? And so I try to capture that every season, and you know, it's what makes me happy, and I think you can see it makes the models happy too.
Nobody does kind of cool rock and roll, thrift inspired stuff like her, and you always see she has all the best models because they love Anna, they love her clothes, they love to wear her clothes.
No one knows exactly what women want, but Anna reads interesting books, visits museums, travels the world, and listens to all kinds of music. And it takes everything in, and then she just connects the dots between them in a way you might not have seen before and puts it out on a runway in a show that you can almost find something anyone will relate to.
What I think makes Anna Sui an incredible designer is that she is an incredible storyteller. I mean, she tells fairy stories every season. She draws in all these different threads. Her clothes are utterly charming.
I like Anna Sui's collections always, simply because they're always bright. There's always a wonderful clash of colour. You can always rely on Anna to come up with a slightly sort of hippie, boho, folksy look. And I think there's always room for that in fashion.
I really like celebrating like hand craftsmanship, people that really make things with their hands. And I think that I've said that many times before, but it really comes from my heart. I think there's nothing more beautiful.
Anna Sui has always been a fashionista's favorite, from design to price point.
What I love about Anna Sui is that she, from the very beginning, delivered a huge style punch at a price. I think it's very egalitarian. She's not elitist. She's not excluding anybody by virtue of a price tag.
It's like a kind of a fantasy world, and it transports people, and it gives them kind of like the freedom to play dress up and really kind of explore different looks and maybe different kinds of makeup, different fragrance. And I love that. I love being able to play dress up.
For fall 2021, Moschino's creative director, Jeremy Scott, brought us on a fashion voyage around the world and back in time. Moschino's signatures were on full display in a whimsical, pop culture-infused presentation video, which premiered during Milan Fashion Week. Witty, playful ensembles were showcased in a series of vignettes that transported the viewer from the prairie to the museum, to the safari, and beyond. The film climaxed in a 1940s old Hollywood moment with floor-length gowns and glittering dresses that were equal parts glamorous and irreverent. Now, rewind the clock a quarter century and step into the Video Fashion Vault for Moschino's Fall 1997 collection, which took us on an entirely different journey.
At Moschino, the imaginary Russian princess that inspired the collection wasn't quite your average princess.
For me, it's more like a working class princess, you know? And that's why the textures all look like, you know, they just come out of the factory, I guess.
The makeup is very strong, so it's just like the eyes just bump up. That's what great about the show, is like the whole production behind it. Because the clothes, it means one thing, then whatever you imagine, it just transforms. So you know that I'm a Russian princess? The accent, darling.
Russian princess. She's sick of being there. She picks up a couple of her things and runs to England.
And she decides to do a bit of the farm life for a while, so she does the country Tweedy thing, and she meets up with Vita Sackville West and mucks out the pigs in ball gowns and tiaras. After a while, she gets a bit fed up with that, so she decides to go back to Russia for the revolution.
She's always in the right place at the right time.
Exactly. So then she gets mixed up with this the kind of avant-garde crowd of the 20s. I think it's too literal, because then it looks like costume, and nobody goes around wearing costume, so there's like a fine line between showing something which is interesting and getting a point across without making it too much like it came out of a museum.
These clothes are so beautiful up close.
There's lots of like Devereux velvets, and the prints are really interesting. There's some hand-painted things which we've been doing a lot lately, which you can tell from a distance, but they're much better close up.
And while the signature of the late Franco Moschino may not have been as obvious as usual, his spirit was still present.
Franco really loved beautiful things and beautiful clothing, and clothing above all that really rendered the woman beautiful. And I think that Franco would have really loved this collection.
When I started, actually, like 10 years ago, there was Moschino that, you know, was my mentor. I miss him a lot.
You know, it was probably early March, and it's that time of year when, you know, it starts to get sunny and there's like that first mild day, and it was still quiet in New York, and I was walking through Soho in the meatpacking district, and I was looking for color, just stuff to put a smile on my face, and I knew that like that's where we had to go with the collection and with the season, because its ship date starts early, and I think that whether we're in a pandemic or not, people are ready for color and like spring and summer. I get excited by some of the pieces behind me that truly are transitional pieces. I worked with cashmere double face and some lightweight overcoats and, cropped little pea coats and corals and like bright green, for instance, that those are the things you want to like slide into, or, just a sweater in an emotional color. And then as the season progresses, you've got like really great emotional pieces that take you like right into, spring and summer months with like great exploded florals. The whole theme of the collection, took me to sort of the South Seas. I always love to play off of this East Coast, West Coast like rhythm. You always find like a camp shirt or some sort of a Hawaiian shirt in the collection. This time I made it a little bit more international, going to French Polynesia and really kind of being inspired by Tahiti and, the paintings of Paul Gauguin. Nothing too literal, but I wanted to bring those sort of elements, rusticity, exotic kind of colors, patterns. The jute stripes that are in a lot of the pieces behind me are a good example. I even played with lots of raffia and jute and textures on, the footwear, some of the handbags, and then, I love the, the really exploded piece where I took the raffia and turned it into an overcoat. I think that there's a youthful energy to my collections and my label. I love to use the adjective youthful because you can be youthful at any age. I think young guys love to crawl into the clothes because they love the fashion, they love the proportions and the color and the prints that I use. I think equally a more mature man too sees the attention to detail and has that sort of spirit where, they want to express themselves through fashion. But at the end of the day, no matter who you are, I still think that the person wears the clothes and the clothes become a nice compliment.
Designer Miuccia Prada took us on a trek through the mountains for her Fall/Winter 2021 collection for Miu Miu. The harsh landscape represented adversity in a presentation video in which women banded together to face the unknown on their journey through the mountains. The collection was a play on extremes and contrasts. Garments were concealing and revealing, protective and seductive, romantic and austere. Sportswear was fused with high fashion in a collection that blended practicality and comfort with an edgy sophistication. Mountaineering references were given the high-style treatment. Now, step into the Video Fashion Vault for Miu Miu's Fall 2004 runway to see how the label has evolved. A lilac lid at Miu Miu was the counterpoint to a rusty fall palette on the runway. While the fashion influences may have leaned towards an eclectic vintage look, the beauty influences were clearly more modern.
Miuccia said, disco, 70s, and we thought, make the eyes something really poppy and sophisticated and glamorous and sexy, so that we came to this lovely violet colour, and there are highlights on it. You can't see in this light, but on the catwalk you'll see the sort of shine. It's got a lovely shimmer to it and a very, very glossy mouth to add to the beauty and glamour of it all.
It's up, it's messy, it's sort of like a very classic shape, like one that your grandmother might have worn, like a roll, which is kind of an Edwardian thing, but they sort of, in the 70s, they sort of wore their hair like that as well. It's that, but with like a much more modern, the texture's very bad, it's a bit rough, it's all falling out.
I love the collection. It was so pretty, and I like that the lengths of the skirt are a little longer. I love the old leather coat, the leather jacket with the skirt, the mix of like the femininity and the more masculine side. I really, really liked it. I like the feeling, and it's so Miu Miu too.
All the fur, the beautiful slip dresses. I love the brocade, the gold, the upholstery, inspired prints. Very vintage, but very modern at the same time. I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
I loved the fur jackets. I loved the little bits of fur with the flowers and the little orchid flower. And I thought the tweed with the embellishment was so beautiful. It's just all about all those, the lurex against the distressed leather and the embellishment. It's just, every piece is so special with Miu Miu and with Prada, and it was just makes, every piece look so individual and so personal.
I thought it was amazing. I mean, Miuccia just never fails to please. She's so original. She's so prolific. Like, she just comes up with something new, and you want to wear it immediately. I loved it.
That's a wrap on this episode of Video Fashion News. Tune in next time for another fashion experience.